Dave's here. Dave's over there. Oh, Senator.
I mean, you, isn't it?
Are you guys ready over there?
Ready. All set, let's go.
Okay. I'm going to call the meeting to order for the Southwest Vermont Supervisory Union Board Directors. The first thing I wanted to do was to, I know everybody got the agenda, is to have a motion to approve the agenda as presented to us.
So moved. Second?
Anything, was there anything to be added to it by anyone? No? Okay. The first order of business on the agenda is public comment. Is there anybody here wish to make some public comment?
We didn't vote.
You can vote.
All those in favor,
Yeah.
say aye.
Aye.
Thanks.
You vote.
Okay. Anyone here wish to make a public comment? Any president? There's nothing.
Last meeting.
Presenting anything. Finance operations related treasury report. I need someone to move it.
Second it.
Any discussion on it? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Consent agenda.
What's your thing on this?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on the consent agenda?
Permission?
Is it, are you taking the whole thing all together? The whole thing you're doing, right?
Right.
You're not breaking, okay, I'm just, I asked for some financial information to satisfy my neighbors, town people, and those I run into at my community dump, asking, and I was denied my request, so I'm voting no on the consent, or the
Okay.
warrants.
For the warrants, you're going to vote for the rest but abstain on the warrants? Is that what you're doing?
Sure, yep, I can do that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and we've got one abstention on the warrants.
No, no,
One neg,
No.
a no.
No.
Is it permissible to ask a question about, I mean, I see a number of nominations here, so are we close to filling that 72-person hole that we heard about the last meeting?
I think so, yes. I would say that there's still some internal moving around of positions. Because when there are vacancies, some people that we currently employ apply for those vacancies, and then we have to start again to backfill the positions that are left.
Fill their position.
Right, right. So we're still in that process, but we are doing well. Again, I would say that we don't get as many applicants for the positions as we wish we would. So we keep advertising and reposting the positions, hoping to get a adequate pool of applicants. But we're in the process of those hires currently.
Right.
Any other questions? None heard? Okay, we already voted on it. Policy.
We have one policy 1020, visit to the schools. And before we start this, I want to just publicly thank the BSD group for a nice turnout at our last policy meeting, because we hammered out and ironed out a lot of things to be able to move this policy forward with that group. So I didn't get a chance to thank all of them, but I wanted to make sure that, Ken, you can tell them that I appreciate all of them taking the time to come out and attend the policy meeting. The visit to the schools by parents, guardians, and community members, the school board members, and media and interviewer, in terms of recordings, the policy is back, and the part that was changed here on policy number 1020 is in paragraph 3, which, if you notice, there is a strikeout in here where the information was split off of paragraph 3 to make a paragraph 4. On line 29, the total 29, the end of 29 and 30 should be both stricken. It may not be on your copy that you got. I think it started at to visit the schools while in session from the principal or his or her designee. That should be all stricken. For that, and then at 36 is the new part of the policy, and I read it at Mount Anthony, and I'll read it here because I wanted to make sure, this is something that all the board members that were pushing for to split out and have it read this way. School board members shall comply with all security and safe procedures in the schools and Southern Vermont when visiting. Board members shall consult with the educational leadership of the building for a potential disruption and instructional invasion of privacy of students. And that's the part that came out of 3, that they wanted to have, you know, the separate column for 4, just to have school board separate. So,
Move to warrant 1020.
Second.
Any
Thank
further
you.
discussion?
Thank you,
Yeah,
Leon. Leon, thank
sorry.
you for your good work on that.
I'm unclear about, you said you're striking out line 29 through 30?
no, the end of 29, it starts with to visit the schools.
Oh, you're going to
That's-
take the period out?
Through,
No,
No.
to visit the school.
to visit the schools. Yeah, it started it, and the strike didn't go all the way through the line.
I see.
And so I just wanted to make sure you realize that on the copy, but there's another copy out that has it all done, but the copy that showed up online didn't complete the strikeout.
Okay, that clarifies, as I skimmed this before this meeting,
Yeah,
that was grading language there because it didn't mesh. So you've
It
taken it
wasn't a
away.
sentence.
That's good.
yeah, right. Thank our recorder, because he picked it up as well over there, Richard. Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? No? Okay. Superintendent's report.
So on the agenda is written the Act 46 update, and I'll speak to that in just a minute. I just wanted to mention that we have been working with all of the principals in the schools, looking at their student achievement data. Waiting for the SBAC results to be officially released. They have been embargoed since the tests were given last spring. And we have weekly and almost daily been asking when they will be released. So those scores are finally released, and the reports will be sent home to families before the 1st of November. All of the principals are working on their student achievement data to give reports to every board. We were waiting for the release of those results, as well as the kneecap science results, which are just being released this week. So those reports will be coming to you, and Kate Abbott will also be giving a report on the early childhood programs and the progress and growth in the student performance there, and some of the wonderful initiatives that are going on. So that report will be coming up at your next meeting, and probably in the coming month to all of the individual boards. So our update on the Act 46, we had a committee meeting of the official Act 46 committee on August 30, at which time the committee voted to disband to allow primarily North Bennington to pursue options that they are most interested in. Last night we did have a fact-finding community forum where we welcomed Donna Russo-Savage and Brad James from the Agency of Education to give us their information currently on where we stand with Act 46 in the state, because as they are approving consolidation plans, they are continually updating the possibilities and the details of how that can be applied in various schools. So Donna Russo-Savage did a wonderful PowerPoint presentation for us, and that is currently on our SVSU website on the front page. If you click on that, there are several links within that presentation, and they are live. I did check them today. So there are many, many resources right within that presentation that she gave, as well as her contact information. So if you would like to see her presentation or some of the options as she described them in very graphic display, it is there for you to see. Renee Gordon also gave a presentation on the different financial scenarios of what that may mean in in estimated form for all of the districts in terms of tax rates and how that would affect the various districts. So that information is all posted for you, and I hope many of you were there, but if you didn't have a chance to come and hear the presentation or want to follow up, that is there for your resource. So did you want to move forward with
Yes.
what you would like next steps to be?
Yes.
I do have some copies up here if anyone would like some of the things that she handed out. One is on school board membership proportionality. Another one is on the steps that are involved in dissolution of an existing union school district with the very specific process. And there's also the summary sheet from Renee Gordon's financial report on what the consolidation scenarios may look like. So there's many copies up here if people want. I know many of you have them, so.
Yeah, the first thing I would start out with is and Renee, correct me if I'm wrong, but the thing that you presented with the scenarios was worst case? Is that correct?
Yeah. It is taking basically today's budget, so the FY17 budgets, and looking at consolidation scenarios with everybody together or pulling out other districts, not adding in any possible tuition that would be coming back in or any staffing changes, so it didn't make any assumptions about any possible changes or tuition students. So in my estimation, it would be a worst case scenario because it is likely that we would be having, if a district were to leave, we would probably see some of those students
Come
still
back.
coming back.
Okay. Yeah, and I just wanted people, if they picked that, to understand that's worst case, because there could be a scenario where we end up with half the students from one school, and we don't know, but we could end up with none, so that's worst case. Okay. The other thing is based on our discussion last night, is that we should, and I'm hoping the board agrees with me, is start an informal advisory committee. The last time it was formal, there was set rules they had to go by. What I'd really like to do is an informal advisory committee for the Act 46, where people can get together, do their discussion and their options and so forth, and then move into a formal discussion committee after that. But at this one here, we're not locking ourselves into any one solution. We're really gathering information, and we certainly have a lot more information after the meeting last night. And hopefully, this advisory committee can work some solutions out. If the rest of the board agrees with that, I would take a motion that the SVSU Board. Get a second?
Second.
Okay, does everybody understand that basically SVSU is asking to restart an advisory committee for Act 46? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, what I would like to do is have
Abstentions or opposed?
Opposed?
any abstentions or nays? None heard. Okay, what I would like to do is have one member from every board and then one community member from every board be on this committee. So we basically get more community involvement, and we basically have every board represented, and I mean the SVSU, the MAU, and all the districts. I think the way we have to vote on this in the end, all those boards are going to be involved. We might just well get them in and let them start from the beginning and hearing about all the options, versus waiting until we get so far along like we did last time, and then all of a sudden hear all these concerns. Let's do it from the beginning. So that's, as the chair of the SVSU, is the way I'd like to see this. So if the boards could move forward with a member they wish to have on that and let me know so we could get it put together. And I think most of the boards already had a community member too. And I don't know if they still want to stay or not. You want to ask, but if they do, move that forward so we can then post who the members are and try to get a first meeting scheduled right away.
We already do have the 7 18th, is it, and the 25th? I think there's already 2 Tuesdays locked in October.
Okay,
like that.
so, yeah, that was for the informal discussions you were gonna have when you disband.
No, that was with the gentleman who was coming down. He had set those up in October and through November. Those dates set up for October and November.
And I have no trouble with that if you can get the names to us so we can post and warn the members to come.
The other thing is that, if I remember right, the districts, Bennington had 3 representatives and 3 citizens, and everybody else, can we maintain that
Yeah.
number?
I'm recommending that we don't do that at this time. I think when you have the formal committee, we're gonna need to look at that because based on the decisions that come back from this informal discussion, one of the things that's gonna be is a proportional discussion that's be part of that, and I think that's when we bring in the 3 members. That's my feeling on it, versus starting out as an advisory with having it be proportional.
So each board will have to have a discussion, like, we meet next week and select one.
Select 1 plus a community member,
Okay, that's hard. If we already have 3, that's not too out, but.
you know. Well, they can attend, no, it's not saying that.
I think in Bennington, we'll probably have to get another, in case our regular representative can't make it.
And I have no trouble with having alternates either. I think that's a plus.
Thank you.
And so alternates is fine. Have 1 alternate from each board. Basically, what we're trying to, and I want to make sure that people want to be involved. There certainly is open to the public, these meetings. They certainly do get a chance to discuss with the committee, and they should come. Because it's important enough that there should be involvement from outside.
Just for the record, the 18th and the 25th of October, the 8th and the 22nd of November, I don't know if Richard wants to put that in the minutes, those were pre-scheduled times for Act 46, if that makes any difference to anybody. And the other issue is the learning curve on this is pretty steep. I kind of am agreeing with Ken that we need people involved early because you end up with folks walking in the last few sessions without having it heard all the same information from the same horse.
I have no trouble with who they appoint that comes. That's their choice. And like I said, anyone that has come to them certainly can come as a public, and they'll get a chance to discuss. I truly, the meetings I have attended, and I'm not a member of that group, I certainly have been able to voice my opinion and have discussion. And I think that's the way this committee should conduct herself. And I think we'll be fine with everyone being heard. It's just the voting difference is what it amounts to. Okay.
Have a date when you want people to, are they going to inform you or?
I want them to yeah, I would like to have them email Mary Lee, actually, it's probably the best, or Jim. Jim's probably the best,
Okay.
right? If they would email Jim with the member that they have, they can email me as well, they have my email address. And then basically, what I want to do is just get it up on the site like it's there now, and have Mary Lee send out a message letting them know of these dates that are already scheduled, so people will come.
When
Yeah.
do you want them to let us know? By a certain date?
When was the first meeting scheduled? October, early October, I think is the date.
8/18.
They give most of the boards a chance to meet and get their representatives.
Okay, so if they have the information to us by, I don't have a calendar in front of me, when's the 16th, 15th? That's sort of 2 or 3 days before.
The 14th is a Friday.
So if they have it to us by the 14th, we'll be able to get the message out so that they know when the meeting is and where it is.
When does MAU meet? It's the 3rd Wednesday.
21st. Yeah.
So we won't have met by that day.
No, not all boards will have met.
We can, yeah. Yeah, either the SVSU can actually tonight decide who they wish to have go.
Yeah, I don't remember, well, MAU didn't have it, just know it. Right.
But I'm saying that they should.
Ed Letourneau was coming.
He came,
Because I'm not going to.
Okay, yes?
As far as Pownell, Lori Ligner was our community member. She wants to she wants to remain a community member, and we're going to leave Jim O'Connor on, so we're all set.
So panel's got their names. SVSU, who would we like to, is there anyone on the SVSU? Actually, Ed wasn't
I'll
he?
do it, but I'm on BSD, but
Yeah, but we can.
But was Ed the one that was doing it for the SVSU?
if
No,
we're
he
gonna
was-
send one,
he
I
was
I
MAU.
have no problem being on it.
He was
MAU.
MAU.
He was MAU.
And he'll
Okay.
probably stay there.
Okay. Is if the board's in agreement with George being our representative, I have no trouble with that.
Trust you.
No.
Okay?
Wants to do it?
Let him
He's
do it.
welcome.
Yeah, it's good. We want as much involvement as we can. You're it. Okay.
Would you want one of your community members? I know you had,
Yes,
would you want, because you're gonna, like you were saying, you don't wanna let those people down, there were 3 of them, is it one of them
He came in for
be assigned?
interviews,
Right,
and we.
so would you want to assign one to be an SVSU community
member?
member?
Don Campbell. I thought he was,
That's good. The quicker we get the names, the better, where we're at. Okay. Did any of the other boards know who their members will be, or they wish to go back to their boards and names?
I'm gonna try to keep them the same as it was. We had Jeff Leak on there. Of course, I haven't asked him yet, so, and Jessica Smith.
You could ask and verify.
Yep, I'll send you an email.
Yep. Okay. Okay, any others? None heard? Okay. Moving on, the other thing is that the evaluation committee for the superintendent needs to meet. One of the things we talked about doing was setting timetables for some of the goals and going over those goals. I basically want to warn that committee that I'll be sending out a message soon to do that. I've got to talk to Jim to see what his schedule is, and we'll try to meet on that as well, so we can get it started. I just can't give you a date for that committee now. Okay? What else? And that's mine. Lake Murray Resort, Thursday, Friday, October 20th and 21st, for those that are going. Mary Lee needs to know your reservations if anyone is going, so please let her know. And I know I can't make this because of a conflict, but those of you that are going, please let her know, so it's going to be all set. And the other one is, there's a meeting of the Vermont School Board Association in Bennington. They're having a regional meeting on Monday, October 10th, from 5 to 8 p.m., which will be here in the CDC. And basically, again, it's from 5 to 8 p.m. And if you're interested in that, please let us know also, Mary Lee. And you can actually go online and sign up to this. You go to the Vermont School Board Association for that meeting as well. Okay. And again, 5 to 8 on Monday, October 10th. I will be attending that one. Okay. Any other? Okay. Any other business?
yeah,
Oh,
in looking at some of the test scores that we got, that were in the newspaper, I noticed that, like, I think in the high school, 11th grade math was like 38% were proficient in math. And, you know, my son just sent me this evening a copy of his son, my grandson's math work in Pownell. No offense, they're following the curriculum, so I understand. It just happens to be the school, but they had a simple question like, Jamie has 3 times as many baseball cards as Rick. Together they have 20 baseball cards. How many more cards does Jamie have? I sat down and did that in my head in 2 seconds, okay? But there is 4 plus 1 extra, 5 steps for this problem to be solved. And, you know, I think if we, you know, really work with percentages, decimals, and fractions with these kids in the earlier grades, where they could really get to understand what they are and be very flexible in their head on how they work. I mean, I think they could pick up the math and progress much better than this system. You know, I don't know if the Common Core requires this system, or it's just one of the books that we selected to use in the SVSU, but well, let me tell you, if I was a youngster in the 3rd, 4th grade, I'd be discouraged when I'd have to do this out the way they have this with these blocks and formulas. It's tough. And I think that may contribute to our lower math scores.
I want to say that I agree with Ken, and I did not know he was going to bring this up. But if it is Common Core, I completely disagree with Common Core and the way we're teaching math in the elementary schools. I'll be bringing this up at the Bennington School District Board meeting at the next meeting, but I think the way we're teaching it is absolutely wrong, personally.
I would just say that part of the focus of the Common Core is to teach students early the content and the concept strategies that are involved in all of the operations, so that they really understand number and operation. And at the early grades, yes, it is much more focused on their thinking and their logic and how to solve problems and how to use numbers, so that when they get to higher grades, 4th or 5th grade, where they start to use the standard algorithms, they know what they mean, that they're not just using some invert and multiply trick to solve a problem, so that when they encounter mathematical applications in real life, they know how to solve problems, not like on a test falling back to a recipe. So that is really one of the practical focuses of the Common Core.
If you teach a youngster how to do that problem in their head, which to me by 6th grade, they should be able to do that. I mean, they know all the mechanics because they're thinking about what's going on there, and then they put it in their brain, and then they come up with the answer without even putting it on paper.
That's right. That is the point. That we're teaching that concept awareness.
And percentages, that's where
And there
that would
is
come
a
in.
big focus on
I
fractions,
remember
decimals, and
Several
percentages.
years ago, they said they don't do that drilling 1 times 1, 2 times, because it's boring and the kids don't like it. But, you know, most of us did that when we were young, and we learned the system.
They do fact fluency.
Yeah, I was going to say, not knowing or seeing the test, you know, you picked on one of the questions on the test. Is that test given in such a way that all the questions are like in that format, or is there a multitude of which some are what you're talking about?
I don't know, you just sent me this one here, so.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to actually see a test, so we can do a real comparison of not guessing at what it is, but know what it is.
And I don't blame a school district, because, I mean, they're following the curriculum that we have, you know, whether it's polish, preventative, it's all the same. I just think that maybe a different method, or maybe some supplementary method would help.
So, we're supposed to be an evidence-based organization. What's the evidence that this focus in the lower grades leads to comprehension that does exactly what you said, which is lead to better problem solving as an individual when you're figuring out your own little problems with that?
Are you asking a question, Ray?
I certainly am.
Oh,
You have the specialist do it, tell them.
I asked, what's the evidence that this actually leads to the results you're saying it's going to lead to?
well, you'd have to ask the authors of the Common Core curriculum, and that is...
I'm sure they've got an answer that none of us are going to understand.
Right.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see these scores that Donna mentions, and to even compare them, even going back a few years. It'll be interesting to see how these, I know what you're referring to is what you're reading in the papers, and we haven't seen what they are in the Southwest Vermont Supervisory. I tend to think that that's probably going to be about the same as we're seeing in the other parts of the state as well, but you say we're going to see them by next...
It does follow a parallel, but at this point, they are not, it's only the 2nd year they've used this test, and it is not, it's not valid or reliable at this point. They're using this year's scores as a baseline. So there is no comparison to past years, which is one of the we're kind of in the mud with assessments at this point because they changed the whole game. There's a whole new baseline, starting with the scores that are on the test this year. And going forward, they will look for progress from comparison with this year's test.
I think it would be interesting if we had some evidence from whoever at the state that, in fact, this approach does work with children. Not that there's going to be, I'm not talking about improvement from what grade's your grandson in? Ken?
Fourth.
4? 4 to 8, so, the scores we've had so far, of course, the scores go down, the higher grade levels. So the question, is not that. It's not that score continuity. It's the actual impact on a child growing into a numerate citizen who knows how to use these operations and understands what they're doing. And I'd be really interested in knowing what evidence there is for that. Did they do any testing, or are we just in a giant pilot experiment?
That's a good question.
Google will probably know more about that than we do.
Yeah, I guess is there
And
a
Pat
source?
Conway. But we could check with the state for their research base on proving that this Common Core curriculum is effective. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Also, I guess one of the questions I would ask is there must have been a method used to say and decide that this is the way to go. What was those examples that led them to make this be the type of test that we're giving?
Well, you would think, but I'm not sure there were.
Well, that's just one of the
We can find
questions I
out.
would say that we need to ask, because are we the test bed, or have there been various tests done elsewhere and now this is being decided because of the results of those tests? Or, as I said, are we the test bed?
So is the SBAC, how
I
many
missed that new math,
states?
I had it before, but that didn't last very long. That new math came in and confused a lot of people, and they dropped that out and they went back.
Yeah, we just need to know why they're choosing what
It'd be
they're choosing.
interesting to have one class with this type of knowledge in math, then one with the old basic type, and see which one comes out ahead. If we could keep that group together and learn their math, that would be a good test group.
It's not just Vermont, it's in this experiment.
It is, the
There's,
whole country.
The SBAC, the Smarter Balanced Assessment Coalition, is the largest of the two coalitions by far, because the other states who are in the other coalition, a lot of them have dropped out. It's down to about four states. I may be wrong on that figure, but they've lost a lot of their states because they've decided the tests are not. The curriculum, not the curriculum, the tests and the standards are not working for them. But there are about 38, maybe, somewhere in that range of states that are in the SBAC. So we're all guinea pigs as far as I can tell.
Hey, George, did you have a question?
I do. Under other, when you get to it. Are we,
Okay, are we done with this?
it's not pertaining to math.
We're done with this? Okay.
Earlier in the, on the agenda, I'm concerned with the number of turnovers that we've had in the various schools of the faculty. And I would like to suggest that we have the Director of Human Resource come to the supervisory union at some not too distant future meeting and share with the board some of the information from the exit interviews. I'd really like to know, I'm not looking for names, but I'd just like to know in general what some of the exit interviews have brought up. As a board member, I'd really like to know why we had and are having the turnovers that we're having.
I would broaden that to not just exit interviews, but if he doesn't have numbers for exit interviews for some, he should list how many people are retiring,
Yes.
how many people left because of better jobs or whatever.
Yes.
You know, because, just because they didn't give an exit interview doesn't mean you can't give us some data.
And I would like that in the not-too-distant future.
Yeah, and
That was promised, was something that was to be taken up after the last meeting, but there was no date set. So it's good to bring it up again.
Okay.
Keep it on track that we're interested in hearing about this.
Okay, any other? None heard?
Move to adjourn.
I'll
Second.
second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Well,